the younger fans that we have now, they seem to be way more educated on sexual issues, gender issues, consent, menstrual, yeast, like everything is
non-binary, everything.
Yeah, everything out in the open now, that we were trying to pry open all of those issues, and so now that door is open. And so there's these two things going on where, yes, things are worse if you look at the politics and what they're trying to do, but also how exciting for this younger generation now that they have this ability to just be open.
I'm Colin Burrows, and this is the Woodstein Media Podcast, episode 20. This podcast is produced on the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Anishinaabe, and Odawa peoples. This episode is part 2 of my interview with the Yeastie Girlz, Cammie, Joyce, Jane, and Kate. This episode covers a couple of collaborations they did after the Yeastie Girlz dissolved in the early 90s. They have never formally broken up, but their lives have moved on from the group's Gilman Street roots. I'll let the Yeastie Girlz fill you in on everything they have been up to over the last 30 years. Check out links to find more information about the topics we discuss, and as usual, links to support the musicians played on this episode. This podcast and Woodstein Media are independently produced journalism that you can support through Patreon or by donating through PayPal at Wood-stein.ca. That's WOOD-STEIN.ca. Thanks for your interest and support. If you enjoy this podcast, you can support it by listening to more episodes and liking, sharing, subscribing, or reviewing them. This is very helpful and appreciated. What I felt from, thousands of miles away about what was going on in your scene, and by the time it was hitting me in Southern Ontario, and there was bands like you or Pansy Division, and they were giving a message. You were giving a message that was totally outside of the usual rock and roll message that we were getting, especially, as you've said, the male-dominated rock and roll message. And I mean, it was an interesting thing for me. I was a young male, and I had all the usual young male thoughts going on in my head, but it was a good balance.
You mean you were horny?
Yeah.
I mean, it's normal.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a good balance. It was a way I was being introduced to other ideas that a lot of guys especially guys on the farms around here and all that, were not really maybe getting introduced to. They might have been in some way or another, but I definitely had these other ideas being introduced to me. And I can't exactly describe it, but I feel that even now, when I think I might be being kind of a dick or something, your lyrics, or like Pansy Division's lyrics, are kind of rattling around in my head still. And I use those to kind of check myself and hopefully not be a chauvinist asshole.
Cool. Wow. What can I ask what lyrics those are? Like in particular, what songs it influenced you?
Almost everything on the 7-inch. Like, I mean, an easy one is "You Suck," just making sure that I try to be considerate of my partner's feelings and actions during those moments in my life. But
doing great. You're doing great. You're brave. You're standing at the plate.
I'm just thinking, I'm going to be editing this later, and putting it into.
You don't get to edit that out.
No, sorry.
It's okay to
won't.
admit that you have sex.
Because I already worded it in a way that my partner probably
The
won't
cell phone. It's the cell phone.
Yeah. But all of your lyrics are something that have kind of, buried themselves in my psyche over the years. And I just try to remember things like that I've collected. I mean, your lyrics are in with all these things from all these books I'm always reading too. And it's just different ideas that I think I hope make me a better person. And you've affected me positively that way.
Well, I think that is probably one of the biggest compliments, huh, girls?
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
That's really cool, and thanks.
Mm-hmm.
To have that kind of an impact on you and in your life, and I mean, like I can't even think of like making decisions or actions, and sitting there going, what would Ozzy do? Or what would
the Yeastie Girlz say?
What would the Yeastie Girlz say? So that's huge.
Yeah. Okay. And in with that, I was wondering then, how have those ideas and the ideas in your songs aged with you? Do you still stand behind all of them? Is there any you kind of regret now, or
aside from the rubber ducky thing? Probably not. Yeah.
I don't even regret that. What are you talking about? I would say I don't have any regrets about what we did, but like if I were writing the songs again, there's a lot that I would do differently, because I've just a different sort of consciousness and awareness, and also we're in a different time. Yeah. And other people in the world have a different consciousness and awareness. Like I think there's a lot of stuff I would do differently, but there's nothing where I can say like, oh, that was terrible that we did that. We shouldn't have done that. And I don't have those kind of regrets. I mean, there's stuff like, it's interesting to hear people's perspective now. I've heard some people say like questioning whether the "You Suck" lyrics are like sort of promoting a coercive attitude, like on the part of like women trying to coerce their partners. And I was like, oh, you could read it that way. Like I can see how you could read it that way, right? It's like "you suck" is a command, right? But I mean, obviously it was done tongue in cheek, but it wouldn't be funny if the roles were flipped, and it was like a guy saying "suck my dick," right? Like it was. So I mean, there's definitely like legit things that you question now about our lyrics then, but it came out of a particular time and place, and so I don't have regrets about it, but I think some of it now would need extra explanation or would need changes in the lyrics, or if I were writing it now, I would write stuff differently, personally. I think some of the stuff really stands, like
100%.
Yeah. Wouldn't need any changes, but some of it definitely, like I could see. But yeah, no regrets.
There's some stuff like Duke Majan say, like, well, Duke Majan,
Yeah, nobody knows who he is. We're more than Duke Majan. Nobody remembers Duke Majan. More people know about the Yeastie Girlz.
Yeah, but that song actually it's called "Get Your Hands Off My Body," and unfortunately those lyrics, except for the Duke Majan thing, unfortunately those lyrics are very relevant today because of the abortion laws. And we're singing about abortion laws, which back then we were singing against this law that he was trying to pass about that a minor couldn't get an abortion without consent from their parents. And we were outraged by that. And, if only that was our only complaint nowadays,
Right.
Yeah. That song needs to be completely redone now. But yeah, too bad we're still fighting that fight.
Yeah.
Politicians say, I gotta do it my way. Pass abortion law. It says you gotta tell your ma. Well, I'm living in the past. I gotta stick up my ass. So if you're a minor, you better lock up your vagina. Yeah, what are you gonna say to the government? What are you gonna say to their laws? You say no! No! Say no! No! Say, get your hands off my body. 'em off.
Get your hands off my body.
Off my body.
Get your hands off my body.
Get 'em off.
Get your hands off my body.
Well, the doctors say,
First you gotta pay.
then I'll tell you what's wrong. This won't take long.
Let me look at your rear.
We have a problem here. You're a woman, you see.
You gotta sit down to pee. Yeah, what are you gonna say to the doctor? What are you gonna say to that creep? You say, we're the Yeastie Girlz and we've had it up to here with how you try to keep us ignorant to further your career. It seems that you have what's commonly known as a yeast infection. No, duh!
Here's something that will make it go away.
Bullshit!
That'll be $70, please.
Fuck you! We're learning how to give ourselves Chinese exams so we can take our health care right out of your hands. We're saying no! 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 Get your hands off my body.
Get 'em off.
Get your hands off my body.
Off my body.
Get your hands off my body.
Get 'em off.
Get your hands off my body.
Well, the magazines say,
You got a game to play.
here's our advice on how to flirt. Wear a bra to keep your boobies pert.
You gotta slenderize your thighs so the guys will get a rise.
Put deodorant in your cunt.
It's all part of the big manhunt. What are you gonna say to their bullshit? What are you gonna say to their lies? You say, we're the Yeastie Girlz and we really don't care about the shit you wanna sell us to put in our hair.
You got gray hair.
So what? You got festering zits? Who cares?
You got hairy tits.
Big deal. If you think you're looking really shitty, you're probably too worried about being pretty. Say no! No! Say no! No! Get your hands off my body.
Get 'em off.
Get your hands off my body.
Get 'em off.
Get your hands off my body.
Off my body.
Get your hands off my body.
Well, some guys say,
Oh, I gotta go all the way.
so open up your door, 'cause I wanna score.
Oh, baby, suck on my rod.
'Cause I'm a big sex god. I wanna tell all my friends.
I stuck it in both ends. What are you gonna say to the stud man? What are you gonna say to that boy? You say, we're the Yeastie Girlz and we really don't care about the size of that thing in your underwear.
You got a big dick.
So what? You got a long dong. Who cares?
You're packing a niner.
Big deal. If your dick is really such a hit, why don't you go fuck yourself with it? Say no! No! Say no! No! Get your hands off my body.
Get 'em off.
Get your hands off my body.
Get 'em off.
Get your hands off my body.
Get off my body.
Get your hands off my body. Get 'em off!
Recorded live in San Francisco at Commotion International in 1988, that was Get Your Hands Off. It appeared on the compilation LP, Commotion International Volume 1. Performing in this recording are Jane, Kate, and Cammie. This recording started with the more general, politicians say, but other performances of the song did directly name drop California's 35th governor, George Duke Majan. His law and order terms in office nearly tripled the California prison population from 1983 to 1991. Even if he should be forgotten, his mistakes should not. Politicians are still repeating them.
It seems like it's, when we were talking earlier about the 80s and the Reagan era and, how Puritan things seemed back then, I just feel like it's 10 times worse now in the US, and definitely it's reawakened, I think also what we stand for. And there's been talk about rewriting the Get Your Hands Off My Body to kind of, be more in tune with what's going on today. And
a new anthem.
What's that?
A new Yeastie Girlz anthem.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's funny about that, though, is there's these two things happening, right? Politically, the right is really trying to clamp down women's rights. And on the other side, in media and like music and stuff, people are singing about things that we only dreamed of back then. You have all these amazing female artists, especially, who don't hold back on talking about, what they need sexually or being open about stuff. And I know this is minor, but like I've seen ads for menstrual products where they're actually pouring red liquid on it and not blue liquid. Like back in the day, blue, why are you pouring blue liquid on a pad.
Maxi pad.
Yeah. And so like there are some steps forward that we can point to now and say, okay, there's some openness now that we didn't have then. And that's amazing. And like the younger generations, the younger fans that we have now, they seem to be way more educated on sexual issues, gender issues, consent, menstrual, yeast, like everything is
non-binary, everything.
Yeah, everything out in the open now that we were trying to pry open all of those issues, and so now that door is open. And so there's these two things going on where, yes, things are worse if you look at the politics and what they're trying to do, but also how exciting for this younger generation now that they have this ability to just be open and not afraid.
Yeah, there's like a whole website that teaches women how to masturbate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole thing, right? I'm like, that didn't exist.
No way.
I mean, we didn't have websites really, but like that, just the concept of it was so alien. Female masturbation was not talked about. I think Kate, that was Kate's song. I think it's one of our best songs, Fuck Yourself. It was so important, to talk about women masturbating. Like, women didn't talk about that.
Yeah. And a lot of women didn't even do it, which is why we needed to write the song.
Yeah. Yeah. Encouragement.
We are the Coochie Crew, and we are coming at you. We're gonna get wet and slimy and ooze all over our johnnies. We got a tale to relate. Women ought to masturbate. Get loose. Flow juice. Let your fingers do the walking and your clit will be rocking. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself.
You better get down and dirty
By the time you hit 30, you ought to be an old hand at stimulating your glands. Get loose. Flow juice. Let your fingers do the walking and your clit will be rocking. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself.
Some folks say you'll go blind.
Oh, you will lose your mind. But all that will happen is a monster orgasm. Get loose. Flow juice. Let your fingers do the walking and your clit will be rocking. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself.
You gotta know what to do,
'cause nobody's gonna tell you how to manipulate that clit unless you're already doing it. Get loose. Flow juice. Let your fingers do the walking and your clit will be rocking. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Now take a look around and see what can be found. A bicycle seat can be pretty neat. An electric toothbrush will give you a rush. A handy cucumber is a fine number. A dozen drumsticks will make you tick. Stick a carrot up your butt if you're in a rut, or buy a dildo and go, go, go. And don't forget, we told you so. Get loose. Flow juice. Let your fingers do the walking and your clit will be rocking. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself.
Just remember that it's up to you.
Don't need another person to screw. The best sex can be found at home, all by yourself, sitting alone. Get loose. Flow juice. Let your fingers do the walking and your clit will be rocking. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. You got 10 fingers, use them, baby.
From the Overreaction 7-inch released on Lookout Records in 1988, that was Fuck Yourself.
I think in some ways, some of the stuff was very obvious to us. It was like, well, of course, or we didn't, I don't know if it was our age or the place or the time or sort of the bubble of the Bay Area, but I think we had a certain fearlessness.
Definitely.
That was, I don't know, maybe it was our personalities as well, but there was just an extraordinary mix.
I definitely think it was our personalities and the combination of our personalities. I think all of us are fearless as individuals, and together we're like extra fearless.
Yeah. And we had the vagina costume.
And we weren't scared to use it.
That's right.
Now, there was one time where Jane went, I think it was Jane went to like a clinic, a women's clinic.
Free clinic.
Berkeley
free clinic.
And they gave her these plastic speculums that gynecologists use to, when you're having a gynae exam. And what we wanted to do was hand them out at our show to encourage the women at the show to look inside their own vaginas, to look at their cervix, like how many people have seen their own cervixes, and it's just this sort of like mysterious stuff down there. And so I think we did a demo on stage of how to use it.
We did. We had a giant life-size doll. I don't remember where the doll came from.
Yeah.
It's a giant life-size doll. We called her Vagina May. I think this is a demo tape too, but like because you can't see it, you can only hear it, so it's kind of mysterious what's going on. But we put her on stage, and then because when I had asked them for the speculum to distribute at the show, and they said only if you teach people how to use it, because we don't want people like hurting themselves using it wrong. So that was why we had to do the demo on stage. And so like Cammie does this sort of like running like thing, or maybe, I don't know, we all together were doing this thing, and it's like, and then you turn it and you like pull the thing, and Cammie's like and just like, and then and the doll, we actually like stuck it inside the doll, and like and there was like the stuffing was coming out, so we pretended like that was yeast. We're like, oh look, yeast coming out. This is my memory of it. It's a very visual memory. But yeah, and then we handed speculums out to people. I think we only had about 10 of them, but it was what we had.
We're gonna demonstrate. So don't hurt yourself. Okay, now what? First of all, see there's like 3 different holes, and you got to get it in the right one. Okay, that's really important.
That is important. Pay close attention.
And this isn't really what the ones at the doctor's office look like, but yeah, they're metal. Well, they usually try and soak them in warm water first, but unless they're sadistic. Okay, you got a yeast infection. See. It's like all falling out. It's really gross, man. It's like really disgusting. You're really uncomfortable. You're sitting on your heel. Okay? And
it's just real bad.
But you got your own speculum. So you decide, well, God, I'll just look inside my own vagina and check out all that yeast close up. So yeah, it starts out like this, okay? Now you have to put it in. You got to lie down and like put your knees up like that. Okay? It's okay, and then you stick it in sideways, like this, right in there. Okay.
Ouch. It hurts. No, wait, this isn't the part that hurts yet.
And then you turn it like that.
Ouch.
Okay. And then you push this thing up like that. Okay, and then you push this up like this. It's not saying anything. Okay. So that's how you do it. And then if you want to look inside, you just hold the mirror there, and you look inside.
And you can look, it goes, you can see really far.
And since these ones are plastic, you can see like through the plastic. You can see like all the walls. You see all this yeast, and it's all like really gross. It's like coming out of the speculum and stuff. Can everyone see this? So anyway, that's how you use these things. Now, who wants a speculum?
That clip is taken from the track Inspectin' Vagina May from their demo cassette. It was recorded at Gilman Street in November 1987.
Again, going back to some of that stuff, this women's self-exam movement, that was in the 70s. So this was like a sort of bringing that back, but in the punk scene, and in a moment when it wasn't really being done by anyone.
And the first time you see it, it's a shock.
Oh, you mean see your own cervix?
Yeah. You're like, whoa, all right.
Yeah.
What do we got here?
Oh my God.
What do we do with this?
You all right, Colin?
Yeah, okay.
Another day in the life of the Yeasties. Yeah, I think, as reactionary as we were, there was, or whatever it is we were, there was a lot of joy, there was a lot of fun, and
oh yeah,
there was a laugh, because why not, honestly? And also, if you can get people to laugh, they're more likely to listen to what you have to say. Because you don't want to be making enemies with people if you're really trying to, impart some of this or just be so antagonistic. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, because we were educational as much as we were funny. Somebody said once, you're like an after school special, but but X-rated, whatever.
but naughtier.
Which
Yeah,
again
naughty.
is sort of a product of its time, it's a different, it's pre-internet, pre-phones, so you've got to put it in context, politically, socially, everything.
So a lot of people who I talk to who do know who you are, know you from the Consolidated You Suck. How did that happen? I'm just curious for those people.
That was after the Yeastie Girlz basically sort of disbanded. We sort of dissolved and went into our different lives. But Kate and I were still in San Francisco. I think they approached Kate, or I can't remember how they found us, but they were doing a new record and asked if we wanted to collaborate on a song, and gave us a cassette tape with a bunch of beats on it saying, what do you think? And at the time, Joyce, I can't remember now, Joyce, where you were, but you were either in LA or Amsterdam. And Jane, were you in New York at the time, or?
I was in New York, yeah, and I remember that I think they just opened, my memory, because there was some communication back and forth, was that they had left it up to you to decide which song to collaborate on. Right. They didn't choose the song. And so that's like, I was like, well, I haven't been part of this band for a few years now, so I shouldn't really even give an opinion, right? But like in retrospect, I was like, I wish we'd done Fuck Yourself, because I feel like that message was even stronger, and more, I don't know. But so that's my only regret, is that I didn't say, you know what, I think Fuck Yourself would have been an even better song to do for that. But yeah, so they let you choose, and then you chose, I don't know, do you remember why you chose You Suck? I
think You Suck and Put a Lid on It, I think were both kind of written at the same time, as I recall, and they were kind of newish songs, and I think we were pretty excited about them. Again, memory, but
maybe also it had a good rhythm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because not all of our rhythms were necessarily applicable to a beat.
Drum machine.
I don't remember how we came up with that, but things are still sort of gray, the memories of those things. But we did, and we ended up asking our friend Wendy O-Matik, who was a spoken word performer and poet, and just an amazing woman, really incredible woman.
Slow death awaits us beyond a barbed wire tightrope called life that we tread upon so heavily. The pressure is killing us. The stress on the earth is suffocating our spirits, causing misery to the heart. Illness and disease are certain to follow. We are old now, before we were even born. My womb is filled with cement and I am still hungry. My heart pounds wearily with the blood of lead and mercury, but I am not strong. My hands are sharp and jagged as daggers, no good for touching or holding or helping. This is the mutation of tomorrow's pollutants, and we no longer cry for the disasters that we've created, that we sustain, perpetuate, pretend. There is no judgment day, only a reckoning that can no longer be ignored. We lay to waste our bodies, we lay to waste our minds.
The window in this room that I have taken over to produce this podcast is shut tight. North America is burning. Air quality warnings like this are not the norm in this region. On June 25th, the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre declared the 2023 wildfire season was the worst in Canada's recorded history, surpassing the 1989 fire season. As of June 28th, 3,003 fires have burned 7,974,000 hectares. Some people tell me the air smells like a campfire. Others say it smells like burning plastic. I think it smells like burning futures. When the Yeastie Girlz mentioned their friend Wendy O-Matik, I recalled this spoken word piece she did over a sound collage by Noah Landis. This piece reminds me of the air outside. Now, back on track with the Yeastie Girlz.
We just ended up asking her if she wanted to join us on the recording, and it all came together. We went in the studio. I don't even remember practicing. We must have, though. And
you must have, because you must have practiced, because it's
okay.
Yeah.
So I
fuck it up. And
I remember going to the studio and seeing the guys with their books. They had these books on feminism they were reading.
Right, yeah.
Preparation of our arrival. And I remember Cammie and I were like, whoa.
The guys from Consolidated?
Yeah. And
That's hilarious.
He thought it was
That is awesome.
funny that they were trying to bone up on what might be happening.
Well, and but also,
I don't know.
You were going to quiz them in the middle of the recording session.
That's so
they
funny.
they were progressive guys. They weren't just like some.
We wouldn't have done it.
Wouldn't. But also, at the time I was a stripper. I was working at the Lusty Lady Theater as a stripper, and we go in there, and yes, they're all like ready with their feminist responses. And then when I told him what I do for a living, I can't remember which guy it was. He was so judgmental and could not put the pieces together of, okay. And I think he even wrote a song about it later called "No Answer for a Dancer." Well, either that or he had already written. I don't know the timeline, but I remember when I heard that song, I was like, oh, I think I know where this came from.
Wow.
So
that is fascinating. I just remembered, and again, like I said, I wasn't there dealing with Consolidated, but there was some back and forth. Like you contacted me, Cammie, about this thing and asked if it was okay, since I was part of writing the song. And then I remember you saying, I think, that because Consolidated stuff was also like heavy and political, that you thought it would be great to do You Suck as a sort of like a rebellion against that, almost a rebellion against orthodoxy, like sort of political orthodoxy. It was like this song that wasn't political in the way that they normally are. It was a different kind of message. So I think there was.
I will say during the editing of that song, they didn't want to include the chat that we did and all of the chat. They wanted to cut it off before we said, "You asshole, you dick." They didn't want that on there. And for some reason, I got really like, nope, that's in there. And it was a funny thing. And I was like, look, this is us too. I mean, this is not your thing. Like, this is a collaboration. I just remember being really determined that was included in the recording. Speaking of the Consolidated thing.
I know you're really proud because you think you will, huh? But I think it's time to learn how to use your tongue. Yeah. You say you want these to be even and you want these to be fair, but you're afraid to get your teeth cut in my pubic hair. If you're lying there expecting me to suck your dick, you're gonna have to give me more than just a token lick. But you may not like it, but you better learn how. 'Cause it's your turn now. Now you suck. Suck it hard. Go down, baby. You suck. Lick it hard and move your tongue around. If you're worried about babies, you can lower your risk by giving me that special kind of lingus kiss. It's on your face that I'm gonna sit. You can wiggle, you can jiggle your tongue on my clit. Don't worry about making me have an orgasm. Just take your time and do it with enthusiasm. I can tell it's making you scared just thinking of it, but you better
learn to love it. Now you suck, suck it hard, go down, baby, you suck. Lick it hard and move your tongue around. Now you suck, suck it hard, go down, baby, you suck. Lick it hard and move your tongue around. When you hear safe sex, sneak it under your breath. We gotta take cover, we're flirting with death. AIDS is our problem, we've gotta talk. Break out your dental dam and your latex sock. I'm your latex leather wrap like a gift. Got my microwave plastic wrap heating up my clit. Woo! Dinner's on, get busy with my booty. Got a couple of flavors, sweet, licorice, and fruity. I know you said luscious pussy with a cover. I'm aching too, we can't taste each other. There's no slacking off with an unprotected stroke. That's right. This ain't no joke. Sisters! Sisters, you got the power. Use it! You brought a condom, right?
Huh?
I'm unprotected.
Hey, ain't you on a pill?
Oh, that was great and everything, but I think it's your turn to go down on me.
Oh, I'm tired.
I mean, you're tired.
Come on.
Come on, baby.
Oh,
come on,
no,
baby.
that's
Come on,
awful.
baby.
Oh, that tastes
you
terrible.
asshole, you
That's just-
shit. I know you think it's real drag to suck my cock when I'm on the rag. Quit making up stories and give me a break. 'Cause I really don't believe that you got a headache. You tell me it's gross to suck my yeast infection. How do you think I feel when I gag on your erection? Ugh. You're wasting your tongue with lame excuses and lies. Get your face between my thighs. Now you suck, suck it hard, go down, baby, you suck. Lick it hard and move your tongue around. Now you suck, suck it hard, go down, baby, you suck. Lick it hard and move your tongue around. Now you suck.
On that one, the Yeastie Girlz collaborated with Consolidated. It ended up being a dance club hit and brought the song to a new audience. Check the description for a link to find out where you can buy it or stream it. You already said that was kind of post Yeastie Girlz, like you had already essentially broken up. And
Well, actually, just to say, and this is an aside, but it's an interesting thing because we did this thing for a while. And I mean, I joined because Jane was going off. We'd met at the bookstore and I was so inspired by what was happening. And I was like, oh, well, the band shouldn't break up kind of thing. And then the band had this arc. And then at one point we were starting to get some attentions from some bigger, I don't know, like this guy, Rick Rubin, who knew who he was, and this thing called Def Jam, or like whatever they are, but we all had our lives that we wanted to pursue. Right. And we were like, nah, I don't think we want to do that. I don't think we want to like jump on that train. And so the Consolidated thing was kind of an interesting, like, okay, well, this seems kind of interesting. And we did it. And it was a little complex in reality. But anyways, I just throw that in there because it's like, I'm hesitant to say that we ever really broke up or
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
We sort of dissolved and then came back together and dissolved and came back together. I mean, it was very fluid, wasn't it? Because it was always different combinations and the going on tour in Europe, because Joyce had moved to Amsterdam. That was very just kind of like, oh, no, okay, let's do it.
Sure. Love slug. Why not?
It was very much, I mean, and I sort of dropped out of things pretty early on, but it was very much not like we are a band and like, I mean, there wasn't like regular practices the way when you're in a band, you're like practicing regularly or whatever. There weren't like band meetings and, like it wasn't it didn't have the structure necessarily. And so I think that allowed it to have that flexibility. It's like whoever is a Yeastie Girl in this moment can go out and be a Yeastie Girl. And
Yeah.
it's fine. And it had that kind of looseness to it, you know. Yeah, because I mean, like, look at the way it started. Like, you know, you don't start a regular band like that. Like, just, oh, here, I wrote a song, get up on stage and do it, you know. Like, so yeah, I think it was almost more of a concept than a project.
And I've found myself doing some impromptu Yeastie Girlz performances recently on a dare, you know, like in a pub in England, just like, okay, I'll get up and I'll do Yeast Power and see what happens at this open mic poetry thing. That was actually really, really amazing because I was there with some friends who didn't know that I was a Yeastie Girl. Like there was it never came up, right? Whatever. And I just, on a kind of drunken dare, I went up and did Yeast Power and came back, and my friends were open mouthed like, oh my God, I heard you suck in a dance club when I was young, and that song completely changed me and influenced me. And I had no idea that was you, you know?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It was a really amazing moment. You know, when you put music out in the world, it's like sending a child off. You don't know what lives they have out there, you know, and a song has so many lives with the way that it influences people. And so we only now are, you know, we get these stories occasionally of like what you're saying, Colin. That's incredible. And we get fan mail sometimes and people on the internet saying, oh my gosh, your song changed me. And that is like, to have that as something that you did in your life that's major goal.
Yeah, positivity.
And I think, I mean, the Consolidated collaboration definitely had a wider reach because it was in all the dance clubs. It was an international dance club hit. It was on some radio stations, but not many because of the lyrics, obviously. But it was definitely in dance clubs, and including in Latin America, in Europe, like all over. And I mean, I just found out, apparently Kate knew this before, but I just found out that Aerosmith, like for a year and a half of their touring, played that song, like they played that recording as the intro to their set. Like that's the song that's playing right before they
were warming up the audience with Little You Suck
for a year and a half. So like you still find these comments. Like, does anybody know what that really crass song was that was playing like right before Aerosmith's set in like 1998 or whatever? You know. Oh my God!
So weird.
Like, yeah, that was the Yeastie Girlz with Consolidated. Wow.
Yeah,
that's super weird.
Yeah, I mean,
we never aspired to any of that.
No.
You know,
but this might be a good time to talk about what's happening now, which is that suddenly there's this whole new generation of people who've discovered the Yeastie Girlz because our songs were sampled by a guy called Brad in TV Girl, and he sampled our music and then put it up on all the streaming services, and it went viral. And so it's got our voices in probably 50% of the song.
57%.
50. Okay, yeah. Jane figured it out. 57% of the song is our voices, our words. And he put it up there without crediting us. And once we found out about the song going viral, which Jane just sort of discovered one day, and then of course we contacted him going, what the fuck? Once we discovered that, we've been on this campaign to let people know, hey, that was us. That's not this guy called Brad, TV Girl. Those voices are us. The context of that song is not that's not who we are or who we were. And so we've been like trying to, learning how to use TikTok and trying to talk to these 15-year-olds who love us and who have no idea who we are. So like getting on Instagram and talking about who we are and putting up our music and I just finished building this huge website with all of our archives so people can listen and watch and buy a t-shirt or like look at all the art and the fan mail and all that stuff is on there. So we're in a new phase of the Yeastie Girl awesomeness right now.
That website is awesome, and it is yeastiegirlz.com, and Yeastie is YEASTIE, girls GIRLZ, yeastiegirlz.com.
Thanks, Shane.
No substitutes.
Yeah, it is an awesome website. I've been spending a lot of time there since you put it. Just went live recently. Like, didn't Brad ask? He was asking and promised to get back to you, but he never did.
What happened is he did actually credit us on the song. So he said used on the Bandcamp. This was how I found it through Who Sampled, that website Who Sampled, which tells you where things have been sampled. So I was just doing a random Google search on Yeastie Girlz, and that came up, and I was like, oh. And then I found the song, and then I saw on his Bandcamp that he said used with permission of the girls. And then I think I first found it before it went really viral, but then when it went viral and I realized like that it was a big deal, and then I asked him, I'm like, what do you mean you had permission? Like, you didn't talk to me. I don't know what you're talking about. So he sent us these screenshots of a communication that he had with Cammie back in 2014. But the screenshots he sent us of the conversation was him asking for permission to sample one song. He ended up sampling 4 songs. And he said it'll be a free download on our website and we're not going to make any money. So that was the condition under which Cammie had given him this permission, was
also not to be used in a, go ahead,
misogynistic. Right. I was just going to add that. Thank you. And that Cammie was like, as long as it's not misogynistic. But, but in terms of like the legal rights, the fact that he sampled 4 songs when he only asked to sample 1, and the fact that he said that it wasn't going to make any money. And then he didn't come back to us when it went viral and say, you know what, I said it wasn't going to make any money. It's turned out that it's making money. Let's renegotiate. He did not come back to us. And when we went to him, then he was like, oh, yeah, I know I should give your girls some money. What about $4,000? And we hadn't even asked for money at that point. And he was just like, pulling $4,000 out. We're like, what's going on? I don't know. This is weird. Like, we don't know anything about TikTok, or we're like in our 50s and 60s or whatever. We're just like, what? And thankfully, Kate's 16-year-old daughter was a fan of the band, and
a friend actually. And they were like, hey, Mom, there's this song. I think that's you guys on that, and pay attention because I think it's actually kind of a big deal.
Yeah. So then when he offered us the $4,000, Kate went and talked to her daughter and the friend, and they were like, no, 4,000 is not it. No.
Like, pay attention.
Yeah. So then we got a hold of a lawyer through somebody I knew from high school, and ended up negotiating owning 50% of the song, of his song, that uses 57% of us.
Past, future.
Past, present, future, including control. So he can't license the song for anything without our permission.
So it's kind of a whole new generation of the Yeastie Girlz, actually, also of, again, educating yourself, standing up for yourself, participating in media that you have to educate yourself about.
Yeah,
it was a steep learning curve, and I have to say, like, I think for us it was really about, like, we never set out to make money off the Yeastie Girlz. That was just never something that didn't even occur to us, right?
And who's that guy? Right.
And then it was more about, like, this dude is making money off us, right? Somebody else is profiting off us and, like, cutting us out of it, and like that, and the fact that he's a dude, and like we're not really into the vibe of his music. It's like got a weird, like, it's outright misogyny.
Do less than more on this.
It's not the Yeastie Girlz vibe. It's not like something that we would be like, oh my God, that's cool. Right. We're not into it. And yeah. And so like it's
a surprise.
But we needed to fight back, we needed to be like, no, you don't get to. And there was definitely a vibe of like, oh, they're just like these girls, from the 80s who don't know anything. And like, they're never going to care if I just go ahead and do this thing. And obviously I don't know that's what was really going on in his head, but like, that's how it felt to us. We're getting taken advantage of, and we are not to be messed with. These girls are not to be messed with. We're not gonna sit and be like, oh yeah, oops, wow, that's not us.
But on the flip side, right? On the flip side, we have, because of all of this, obviously rekindled this whole thing here, which has been absolutely amazing, and also getting to reach a larger audience because of it, and have this new generation of, Yeastie Girl fans now, and having them reach out and, do their TikTok videos, quoting our lyrics. It's pretty funny, it's kind of cool. So in that respect, even though it kind of derived from this not so cool situation, it did turn out to be a really positive thing that ended up happening. So,
yeah, because now we're all in contact with each other all the time. Yeah. We have these girls chat, and we're like, hey, you guys, check this out. And we had a reunion where we got together and hung out, and just like,
we've had 2 reunions.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because we all live in different parts of the country, so it's pretty amazing to hang out. We all love each other, and we've always loved each other, but like, we didn't have constant contact like we do now, and it's such it's a gift.
It is. And how 35 years later, these friendships have stood the test of time. Definitely. I think we've all just really appreciated being able to rekindle this and talk about possibly doing new stuff.
So I was in San Francisco a month ago, and Kate and I sat down with some old lyrics of a song that never really came to anything, and we started trying to rewrite it to be relevant for today. Luckily, I didn't give her the COVID that I had and didn't know I had. Well, I came down with it, and we couldn't finish the song.
What we discovered is you don't have to have an old rhyming dictionary anymore. You can just use your phone. What rhymes with rectum? Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Google.
Rhymes with uterus.
Yeah, rhyming uterus was Anyway, so and that stuff's happening, and we're making t-shirts, and there's a movie coming out, and there's the female punk protagonist is wearing a Yeastie Girlz t-shirt in the film, and
it's not our movie. It's
not our film.
A movie that is being made in which a character wears a Yeastie.
Yeah, and she beats up Nazi punks, which is
I don't think we're allowed to say that.
Well, we didn't say the name of the film. So.
No, we didn't say the name of the film. Go out and see all films until you find the one where
or even better, follow us on Instagram, and when it comes out, we will talk about it.
Good idea.
Okay, so since dissolving the band one of the times, you've done a lot of stuff outside of the Yeastie Girlz, each of you. Do you want to talk about the other things that you've been doing with your lives? Is there anything you want to plug?
Sure.
Maybe a book or
or a bunch of books.
Or a bunch of books.
Yeah.
There you go.
Kate
Well, I'm a bookseller in San Francisco for the last 40 years. 40 years. Almost 40 years. The last standing bookshop is Dog-Eared Books on Valencia Street. We just turned 30.
Woohoo!
And I'm a painter.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that's a lot of my story.
Yeah.
Animal rights activist. Long time. Cammie, I give you the torch.
It's funny when you asked what we've been doing, I didn't even think about my book.
I was going to make you talk about it if you didn't.
Well, the thing is, I'm not good at promoting with self-promotion, so I'm glad you
Oh, it's awful.
When I was a stripper at the Lusty Lady, I'm a photographer, so being a photographer has been kind of the main thing that I've done in my life and career, and keeping myself alive and stuff. But at that time in the early 90s, I was going through university, getting my degree in photojournalism and working as a stripper to pay my way through. And I started to photograph my customers at the strip club with permission, with consent. And so you get these photographs of the men looking at me and me looking at them. And so it's a kind of unusual view of the sex industry. And so I've had these negatives. I've had shows, and I'm kind of known for this body of work. But I finally sat down during COVID, wrote the story, got a publisher, published this book in 2021 called $5 for 3 Minutes. And it's published by Void. And it's got all my photos of my interactions with my customers. It's very graphic. They're all wanking and, showing their buttholes and doing, the things that they would do in the booth with me. And my writing is, it's very much a piece of being part of being a yeasty girl. Like I've never stopped being honest and open about stuff, like whether it be having a yeast infection or being a stripper or, all of the experiences that came with that. And so, yeah, the book is out. I'm having shows. I've got one coming up in Paris in November. I've got one coming up in Italy in March, and I've got another one in Portland, Oregon in July next year. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. And I raised a child. That was another, small thing.
And what do you have around your neck, Cammie?
Oh shit, yeah. See, I'm so bad. I make jewelry. I make jewelry, and you can find that at unmuteddesigns.com. Thank you, Kate, for that.
Okay.
Beautiful jewelry. Beautiful.
Thank you. Jane,
what have you been doing?
I don't really have anything to promote.
But you've been doing a lot in the past 35 years, I'd say.
But we don't have 8 hours to listen to me talk a memoir here. So yeah, I mean, right now I teach as an adjunct at Queens College, City University of New York. I teach labor studies, and I am really active in the union and active in a rank and file group within the union. What else? Oh, and I play in a band. So I've actually been I played in a band even before the Yeastie Girlz started. So I was playing bass, and then I've played drums in a couple of bands as well, but I'm playing bass since 2008. I've been playing bass in a band called Wasipungo, which is a Latino immigrant hardcore band based here in New York. And that band's been around since 1990 or 1989. But like I said, I've been playing bass with them since 2008. And yeah, we just had a little mini tour in Mexico. But yeah, I think that's about it for me.
Homophobia! Homophobia! Señalas!
tratan de suicidarse. Más de 34.000 personas mueren por suicidio anualmente y es la tercera causa de muerte de los chicos de 15 a 24 años. Apoyo mutuo, amor, respeto, salvará muchas vidas.
Homofobia, homofobia, señalar, homofobia, homofobia, críticas, homofobia, homofobia, segregar, homofobia, homofobia, tu inseguridad.
An appropriate song to add into the podcast as the clock just rolled over into the wee hours of July 1st. Freeing Fairweather allies to fold up their pride flags so they can store them until they have to show support next June. The song was Homophobia by Wasipongo. It's a hardcore anthem of support for the 2S LGBTQIA community.
I mean, I co-authored a book on immigration back in 2017.
Don't forget the book.
Yeah.
No, wait, the
But
book.
it's like back in 2017. 2017 feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah.
What's the name of that book?
It's called The Politics of Immigration, Questions and Answers.
Okay.
It's basically like promotes open borders. Joy.
I have absolutely nothing to plug except for my butthole. No, just kidding.
Why you laugh?
God, I don't even know where to start, but I've taken a quieter I've taken a quieter, probably more soft-spoken approach to my yeastiness, I guess. Everything that I do is more towards taking care of my immediate surroundings. So right now I'm taking care of my very aging mother who's having some health issues, and just kind of keeping a low profile, being at home, working my job as a salesperson, and staying home with my family. So that's very
important.
It's very important to me and and to them. So it's very boring, but I've got my outlet with the Yeastie Girlz here, so I get to get a little crazy with them sometimes.
Okay. You said there might be some new activity happening, maybe new songs, maybe not, but maybe.
No, you never know. No promises, but
yeah,
I don't know. Kate and I were feeling pretty good about this song that we were putting together, so you never know.
There's a lot to be said for working in person, and the fact that we're in not 4 corners of the world, but 4 different cities.
And
writing
the
stuff.
reunions we've had have been very brief. So
Yeah.
they have been like, oh, we're all in the same city for a week and we can get together a few times and talk about this. So we're also, we're not on a timeline necessarily. Like there's no time pressure. So we're not like, oh my God, we got to like get something out now. It's like we can kind of let things happen in a more natural flow and just kind of see what happens without pressuring ourselves.
Yeah, let it roll out organically.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of being like, like we talked about like, oh, do we want to do a reunion show? And then we're like, oh, let's think about that before we jump into it. Like we want to take things kind of slowly and thoughtfully and organically, like Joyce.
So you haven't been thinking, oh, we'd like to do a reunion tour of Ontario, Canada?
Is that an invitation?
I'm looking at the wallpaper again. I'm trying to see what the situation is.
We just got one fan letter from someone in Ontario. Maybe that's a good place to start our next tour. We got the one fan, and we've got you following.
It's a very sweet fan letter too. It was. Yeah,
but Kate, don't say the name of who it is, because I think that's.
I love the decorated envelope. I just want to say, because there are like these stickers on it that are really nice.
We used to get lots of fan mail, because people would buy our demo tape and they would send us money in the mail, and they would write us letters and draw pictures and send us weird things, and we'd send them weird things back. And Kate decided that it's time to revamp that idea, and she got a PO box, and we like, here we are, these 50 something 60 something year old women getting on TikTok talking to 15-year-olds going, send us snail mail. Like asking people to write us actual letters on actual paper. And man, we were so excited when we got our first one the other day, and it was this person from Ontario. So woohoo, okay. Ontario representing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you're
and
gonna have to.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we can do something like, so this is the thing, is like, we're open to different ideas, right? So I was like, well, maybe we can do like a TikTok video where we're reading this letter, because this letter is so cool, and we can like, use these letters as a way to reach out to other people. So I don't know. We're coming up with ideas. We're not necessarily going to pursue all our ideas, but we can share ideas with each other. And yeah.
There's been some great ideas. I want to say the idea of potential collaborations. Mm-hmm. Of course, every idea we have is like opening a huge can of worms. Like, well, exactly how would that work? And what would be the right way to do that? And what would, so we're rife with ideas. We got ideas. It's kind of like they say, you sit in a big chair and you wait for the big idea. Well, wait, we got
we've got lots of ideas. Yeah. But we're also all pretty busy with our lives too. So,
did you have questions? Did you have any questions for us?
I pretty much threw most of them because
I'm fucking around. We're like, no, something else.
Something specific you'd like to talk to about? Oh my God. So funny.
Yeah, we don't need a lot of prodding to start talking.
He's like, well, then they.
Oh my God.
I feel like we've covered most of the bases.
Is there anything else you want to say to people? Do you want to get that PO box in here verbally, as well as I'll put it in the description? But
yeah, Kate, can you read out the PO box?
Okay, Yeastie Girlz, that's with a Z, P.O. Box 40788, San Francisco, California, 94140, USA.
Woo! Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, this
thanks,
has been
Colin.
Awesome for me. It's been great.
And for us, too.
It's been fun for us, too.
Thank you, Colin. It was really fun.
Bye.
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 Bye, everybody. Adios.
Bye, Joyce.
In case you missed part 1 of this Yeastie Girlz series of podcasts, there's a link in the description to the previous episode so you can hear plenty more Yeastie Girlz stories. Thanks for listening to part 2, and thanks to Kate, Jane, Cammie, and Joyce for the interview. Visit Wood-stein.ca, that's WOOD-STEIN.ca. You can support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/ColinBurrows. Like, share, comment, follow, and support Woodstein Media and this podcast, and have a wonderful day.